What happens when a simple flight turns into a public spectacle for Elon Musk? A routine trip quickly spiraled into chaos, but no one expected the storm that followed when his mother, Natasha Musk, arrived. The loudspeaker crackled as the final boarding call echoed through the busy terminal of Los Angeles International Airport. Elon Musk sat near Gate A-17, his tall frame folded into a seat that seemed too small for him. He kept his head down, scrolling through his phone, blending into the rush of travelers trying to catch their flights. At 17, his life was far from ordinary, yet he had mastered the art of staying unnoticed in public. But today, that effort was about to be tested. A gate agent, an older man with sharp features and an air of impatience, scanned the waiting area. His eyes landed on Elon, who was in the priority boarding section. Something about the teenager's quiet demeanor seemed to bother him. The agent's voice sliced through the ambient noise. "Excuse me, young man," he said, his tone laced with suspicion. "Are you sure you're in the right boarding group?" Elon looked up, startled but composed. "Yes, I have a first-class ticket," he replied, his voice polite and steady, reflecting his upbringing. The agent studied him for a moment, his eyes flicking to Elon's phone, his casual hoodie and sneakers. "Can I see your ticket?" Elon hesitated. It wasn't the first time he had been singled out without reason, but something about this man's tone felt different, more confrontational. He handed over his boarding pass. His name was clearly displayed on the screen. "Elon Musk," the agent read aloud, pausing. His expression shifted, but instead of stepping back, his demeanor hardened. "Wait here." Passengers nearby took notice, their whispers growing. Elon felt heat rise in his cheeks, but kept his face neutral. Moments later, the agent returned with a supervisor. "There seems to be an issue with your ticket," the agent said firmly. "You'll need to step aside while we sort this out." Elon frowned. "What issue? I booked this ticket weeks ago." "We're handling it, sir," the supervisor cut in. "Please move away from the gate." As Elon reluctantly stepped aside, he could feel the eyes of fellow passengers on him. Some pulled out their phones, recording the scene. The murmurs grew louder, but he bit his tongue, unwilling to make a scene. However, the situation was far from over. It was just beginning. Leaning against a nearby column, Elon watched as other passengers boarded without issue. The glances from the gate staff and the growing whispers around him felt heavier with each passing second. Shifting his weight uncomfortably, he wondered what was taking so long. Was this about his name, or was there something else going on? He wasn't the type to jump to conclusions, but this was beginning to feel personal. After several minutes, the supervisor returned, his expression still stern. "We're unable to verify your identity through the system. Do you have another form of identification?" Elon furrowed his brow. "My passport is in my carry-on bag. You didn't even check it." The supervisor hesitated, caught off guard by the logical response. But instead of backing down, he doubled down. "Sir, this isn't just about ID. There are procedures we need to follow." "Procedures?" Elon asked, his tone calm but laced with disbelief. "What procedures? I've flown through this airport dozens of times without an issue." The gate agent from earlier interjected. "We've had some irregularities lately. You're not being singled out." But the look in his eyes said otherwise. Elon wasn't buying it, and neither were a few nearby passengers who began murmuring among themselves. A woman in her late 40s, holding a toddler, spoke up. "What's the problem? He's just a kid with a ticket. Let him board." The supervisor ignored her, focusing on Elon. "You'll need to wait here while we conduct a further review. If you don't comply, we'll have to escalate the matter." Elon's patience wore thin. "Escalate?" What exactly are you escalating? I've done nothing wrong. As if on cue, a pair of airport security officers appeared. Elon's chest tightened. Not from fear, but from sheer disbelief at how quickly the situation was spiraling out of control. The officers stood on either side of him, their presence drawing even more attention. Phones were out now, recording every second. "Sir, please come with us," one officer said in a measured tone. "We just need to ask you a few questions." Elon exhaled, his jaw tightening. Grabbing his carry-on bag, he nodded. Fine. He followed them into a small, sterile room near the gate, whispers and camera flashes trailing behind him like a storm cloud. Inside, the officers asked him to sit at a table. The air felt colder, heavier. One officer flipped through his passport. "This is ridiculous," Elon muttered under his breath, shaking his head. "We're just following protocol, son," one of the officers replied. But that word, protocol, was starting to sound like an excuse for something more sinister. And the more they probed, the more Elon began to feel the weight of an unspoken bias in the room. What Elon didn't know was that someone was already on their way. And they weren't happy. In the back seat of a black SUV, weaving through LA traffic, Natasha Musk sat poised, her phone in hand. She had planned a quick trip to surprise her son at the airport after his flight. But as her phone buzzed with a flood of text messages and social media alerts, her expression shifted from calm to concern. One message caught her attention. "Something's going on with Elon at the airport. People are posting videos." Her fingers flew across the screen, pulling up a short clip showing Elon surrounded by security, being led away from the gate. She replayed it twice, her brow furrowing deeper with each pass. "Driver, hurry," she said, her voice cool but firm. Meanwhile, back at the airport, Elon sat in the small room, staring at the blank wall in front of him. The officers had stepped out to verify his credentials, leaving him alone to stew in silence. Just as he was debating who to call, the door swung open. The supervisor from earlier entered. "We're still working on clearing up the situation," he said, avoiding eye contact. "It shouldn't be much longer." "How much longer?" Elon asked, his tone sharp. "You've had all my information for almost an hour." Before the supervisor could respond, the door opened again. But this time, it wasn't security. It was Natasha Musk. She stepped inside, her presence commanding the room. The officers froze, their expressions a mix of surprise and apprehension. "What is going on here?" she asked, her voice calm but carrying a weight that demanded an answer. The next few moments would change everything.